Hello, and welcome to another episode of Somewhat Accurate History, a podcast where we vaguely remember the history of various countries. Apparently, Wales is not a country.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Somewhat Accurate History. This time, Tad's doing it.
Oh boy.
All right, Alex. So, the topic I chose for my Let Me Tell You About History essay is the creator of the modern bass, clarinet, and the saxophone.
So I gotta ask a question. So I've been doing all these figures and mythological characters and shit. Why did you pick the saxophone guy?
So, the reason I chose the saxophone guy isn't because he made a really smooth instrument. It's because I'm pretty sure he was a victim of time travel crime.
Excuse me?
I'm going to give you a hint as to who he is, Alex, as to a teaser into this. So, his last name is Sax, saxophone, Sax. I won't tell you his first name until after I give you the list of crimes that have been committed against him.
Okay.
So, he's from Belgium, right? From Belgium.
All right.
So, this dude in his entire life had the entire world against him. You remember that episode of The Simpsons, Alex, with Frank Grimy Grimes?
I think so.
It was the one where he worked really, really, really hard, and the world kept shitting on him, and then Homer got his job at the power plant really easy.
Oh, that guy. Yeah, I know it.
Okay, so I'm going to give you a quick rundown of this guy. So, age 3, falls, quote-unquote, down 3 flights of stairs and cracks his head on the cobblestone at the bottom. He was bedridden for 4 weeks.
Okay.
Then he eats a huge fucking needle. In the old times, the women would have those hats with birds pinned on them, and they have these giant 8-inch long pins.
Yeah.
So he just eats one of those.
Why?
And when he was 5 years old, he gets under the sink and drinks a solution of white lead, copper oxide, and arsenic.
Okay.
So a little bit later, he falls on a burning stove and fucking burns the fuck out of his side.
I imagine this guy is gonna end up looking like the Elephant Man, just an absolute troglodyte with all the scars he's getting.
So normally, have you ever gotten a really bad burn?
Yes.
All right. You know how they put all the disinfectant stuff on it because it can get infected because the skin's opened up, right?
Yeah.
He didn't get any infection from all those burns. He got really fucking lucky.
All right.
So next thing is, he never explains, and I couldn't find a good explanation as to how this happened, but a random villager found him face down in the river and saved him from drowning.
Okay.
So now when he's in his teenage years, he's hanging out in his father's workshop because his parents are both instrument makers. He's just minding his own business. Literally, he goes up, goes, huh, sits on a barrel of gunpowder, and it fucking explodes.
I'm still thinking about the river thing. I just imagine it drifting by. It just by. It's uh-oh, there's that saxophone kid. Better go save him.
Oh, God. Again with him? Fucking whip out your fishing pole and reel him in. Here, Alex, I'm going to make it Top Go game related. You cast out your line, you reel in. Uh-oh, got another Easter egg. That's for us Animal Crossies in the audience.
Fuck you.
Okay, so I'm not done. He has one more. Actually, he has a few more, but I'm gonna give you my hypothesis after this one. So he's chilling in the street, being a street musician. He's zipping, he's zapping, he's playing his fancy
what is he playing,
bass clarinet.
Okay, clarinet.
Yeah, because that's what he had before the saxophone. Saxophone comes later. But he's like Squidward, just playing Solitude in E minor. When all of a sudden, just shink, chink, shink, shink, this huge fucking slate falls off a rooftop and clocks him right in the fucking head. And he's out cold for 2 weeks.
Okay.
He was so death prone, all of his neighbors when he was little just called him Little Sax the Ghost. And his parents were like, I don't know what the fuck's going on. They didn't know how this child wasn't dead.
Okay. Anything
now,
else?
Alex,
Because I have a hypothesis of what was happening too.
Okay, you give me your hypothesis first.
Okay, I'm gonna guess his name.
Is it that his parents wanted to kill him?
No. Was his name Barry, and was he a friend did he know someone named Dr. Zoom? Because this guy, he sounds like the Reverse Flash was out to get him. If you don't know the Reverse Flash's backstory, it's he's pissed off at Barry, so he travels through time, and I'm every bad day you've ever had. He makes his life worse through time travel. Like, he'll, travel back in time, push him down a staircase, then teleport back into the future. He'll travel back in time, like Barry had this friend when he was 14 years old. I made it so he never had that friend. And shows him time traveling, grabbing the kid, snapping his neck, and then traveling back into the future.
Jesus.
He's when Barry was gonna have a wife and about to have kids, he fucking time travels, makes the wife miscarry, and time travels back. He wants him to be almost happy and then constantly take it away from him at every opportunity in time. Like his tagline is, which is the greatest tagline ever, I'm every bad day you've ever had. So yeah, what's his name, Barry?
His name was not Barry. Do you want to know what his first name was?
What?
Fucking Adolphe.
Oh!
So I believe that this man... So you know Time Squad, right?
Yes?
So Time Squad, the old Cartoon Network show, they were working double time. Every single time, someone would he'd be walking down the street whistling, shit's just falling behind him. He walks past the guillotine, fucking shink. They have to grab someone holding a musket, wrong Adolphe, and throw the guy back into the future.
I'm here to assassinate Adolf Hitler. No. This is Adolphe Saxophone.
Someone's holding a fucking bowling ball on top of the roof. They stop him from dropping the bowling ball, but that's what caused the slate to fall. So yeah, I believe this man was targeted by time travelers.
I assume this was before Hitler, right?
This is before Hitler. This is not that much before, because this is around the 1820s, 1840s. Okay,
because if you didn't know, after Hitler, everyone in Germany who was named Adolf changed their name. There's a little fun
Can't imagine
for
why.
you.
Are you telling me that the Charlie Chaplin mustache got ruined forever after that? Huh. How about that?
Anyway, keep going.
Somehow, through the efforts of Time Squad, Adolphe Sax survives his childhood and adolescence, and he leaves home to go to college as an adult. So he's studying, because remember, his parents they were people who made musical instruments. All throughout his childhood, he was making musical instruments. He'd bend down to pick up a screw, and there'd just be someone fucking shot a gun over his head and pop back up. Yeah. He made flutes and little things like that. He improved on existing ones. But he has all these custom-made instruments, and he submits them to the Belgian National Exhibition. And the judges are like, "Oh, dude, that is fucking great. Check this shit out." Smooth, fucking ice cold. They love it. But it's the central judges who make the actual decision to give out awards and shit. So the central judges... Alex, you ever seen the movie Space Jam?
Yes.
Do you remember the bad guys in Space Jam?
The big aliens?
The Monstars.
The big alien dudes?
Yeah, there's the alien dude, but they were they were in a dusty room full of smoke. He had the giant cigar, and he was puffing it in fucking MJ's face.
Oh, yeah.
So the central judge is just the kid's great. He's got moxie. He's innovative. He deserves this gold medal more than anyone I've ever met in my life. That's why he ain't getting it. And he fucking puts out the cigar on his hand. So the school gets their cut of whatever he makes while he's studying there. So they're like, "Hey, fuck this kid. Let's keep him here. Let's milk him for a few more years." So the central judge, he fucking, "Listen, kid." Throws a big fucking cloud of smoke in his face. "Listen, I'm doing you a favor. If I give you the gold medal now, you ain't gonna have anything to strive for the rest of your time here, right? Really, I'm doing you a solid. Just keep working. Now get the fuck out of my office." They fucking kick him out. He falls out of the window onto a construction girder. Goes full Baby's Day out.
The Reverse Flash comes by. "Don't give him that medal," and then travels back to the future. So,
he gets out of his fucking construction thing. He gets, falls in a concrete mixer, spins around really fast, shoots out into a truck full of fucking AIDS needles. So he's like, "All right, fine. Okay, whatever. I don't have any control over this situation." So he keeps inventing, keeps working on his stuff, and at 27, he's at the end of his schooling. It's his final year, and he's going to present the actual-ass saxophone and like a few other instruments to win that gold medal. So he's finishing his work, he's like, oh, finally, hey, I'm sweaty, puts his hand out, goes to grab the rag, some mysterious time traveler places it with one full of asbestos, whew, finally time to throw this, I'm done, whew, great. He turns around to toss the rag in the trash, and the second he looks away, someone, we don't know who, takes the saxophone and trashes it, treats it like the world treats Adolphe Sax. So someone took a saxophone and just fucked it up and broke it.
Why?
I think it was someone that was jealous, because this is the thing you're going to see throughout this whole story. People really don't like Adolphe Sax because he's really good at what he's doing. I guess I should say this too. So, right here, right now, he's still in Belgium, and people are just like, oh, they're jealous. And eventually, he's going to go over to France, and that's where people get really butthurt that a Belgian's really good at making music, because that's their thing. Also Italy's thing, but Italy is full of coronavirus, so they don't count anymore. Okay. Anyway, so the saxophone's all fucked up and he can't present it anymore. So he ends up having to just present his supplementary stuff, improvements of the bass clarinet, and the Space Jam monsters tell him to piss off. And then Adolphe quotes, "If I am too young for the gold medal, I am too old for the silver," and he just fucking leaves Belgium. He's tired of their shit. He's leaving the Looney Tune All-Stars and he's moving to Paris.
All right.
So he's in Paris, right? He's like, fresh start. I'm going to open up my own instrument shop, and finds out the French government is looking to soup up their military bands with new instruments. Because that's like a thing, That's a real-ass thing.
Again, what this was like the 1800s, you said, right?
Yeah, okay. So they all have the really tall hats with the stupid feathers and shit.
Yeah, okay, so it does. It still adds up. I was totally forget what time period it was for a second. I was just thinking about the reverse flash just coming by, so I immediately think modern.
So he invites this guy who, I got this name wrong, I'm sure of it, Actor Bolios? I don't know. He's like a big name music guy. He invites him like, hey, come in, check out my instruments. Specifically, hey, check out this bass clarinet I improved on. And Bolios is like, oh, dude, this is great. And he writes this really nice article, and with his publicity, Adolphe is able to perform at the Paris Conservatoire, which is like a big fucking concert hall. That's like playing at Madison Square Garden for a country that matters,
Okay.
So things are looking up for him, right? He's making friends in high places. He's becoming well-known in Paris. And most importantly, he finally got the funds from doing all these things and from, working with the government to actually construct his own musical instrument factory. And damn, once that gets going, he's really good at it. He's so good at it, in fact, that everyone else in Paris, everyone's getting their instruments from him and not the other stores. Now, these other places could work to improve their products, develop better techniques, but the Monstars make a return in what I like to call the music cabal.
Okay.
So all of the instrument makers in Paris and across France are like, oh, this Belgian guy, oh, unbelievable, right?
No.
He's just making things better than I do. That's bullshit.
I imagine all the musical instrument makers in Paris is like 5 or 10 people. It can't be,
pretty much, yeah.
I can't imagine being like a massive army. I assume there's the most 5 people.
Powerful group. They're like the Illuminati, okay? So they're like, okay, we got to get rid of this guy. Fuck him. He's not French. He shouldn't be doing anything that we don't, we're better than him. We're French. So they start getting paid articles in newspapers, like slamming them. They try and hit him with a bunch of lawsuits, and they boycott all of his products. So there's this big fancy dude named Don Sebastian, and he's like, oh, dude, bass clarinet? Poggers, bro. And he's like, I want to use this in my opera, but the music cabal flexes their, connections. They're like, hey, listen here, buddy. They go to the orchestra and like, hey, every one of you fuckers in the orchestra, you need to boycott this clarinet. You have to refuse to play if he uses it because we said so.
Man, you know what, Ted? I think these might be the pettiest people ever. It's a fucking clarinet.
Alex, they're French. So Don Sebastian has to back out because they they just won't play. So he's like, I'm sorry, dude, I can't. So Sax has had enough of this shit. He's like, all right, fuckers. I challenge you to a duel.
What?
Now, Alex, you know how duels normally go, right? Like, you pull guns, you shoot each other?
I immediately thought of a Battle of the Bands situation, but yeah, I guess he would just pull out a gun, wouldn't he? Oh, okay.
Literally a fucking Battle of the Bands. So he challenges anyone, like, anyone who wants to, come at me. I will fucking out-saxophone your ass.
So he has the saxophone, right?
Yes, he has the saxophone now.
Okay.
Now, it's not like a publicly, like, you can't get a saxophone yet. He just has it, and he's got the design done.
Yeah, he made his own sax at this point. I got it.
Yeah. So Adolphe is like, they lure away my workmen, steal my designs, and accuse me of insanity and bring legal proceedings against me. Such is the hatred inventors inspire in rivals who are incapable of inventing anything themselves. They fucking, ugh. Oh, wait, actually, no, I fucked that up. He didn't say that quote. One of his friends did. One of his friends is like, hey, they're a bunch of petty fucking cunts. If you'll pardon, they're French, I can say that. So I looked, and I could not find a record of any actual Battle of the Bands that he did, other than saying, hey, they could have challenged him for it. So I assume they just pussed out. So Sax is getting paranoid now. You know, he's finally starting to notice that, like, he's starting to see, like, a blur of red and yellow every time one of these bad things happen. Everyone seems to be out to get him and his inventions. So he's like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. He decides to make, like, host a big show, and he's going to play his new invention. He's going to play the saxophone and all this other crazy shit. But he doesn't want anyone to steal the design, so he keeps the curtain drawn, and he has a spotlight, so they just see his silhouette. And he's like, you know, he's playing, he's going full Lisa Simpson.
All right.
You know, it's great. He plays his saxophone hidden from sight. People go ape shit. It's the fucking perfect mix of woodwind and brass with a level of control never seen before. So people are loving it. Like, oh, dude, this guy is lit. So the day of the Paris military exhibition arrives, and there's two bands playing to determine who the military is going to contract with to upgrade all their bands.
Can I say something? So you know those movies where it's like, you know, like
it's like this is like a Max Keeble's big move.
It's one of those movies where, like, it's the stupidest shit. Like, it's a card game thing, so everyone in the world stops and is after this one specific object. And in this fucking fantasy world this guy lives in, instruments are literally everything. Like, everyone's at the show, like, oh, stopping, like, cheering for him, like, he's playing the sax. Everyone's like, yo, it's Mr. Sax. Yo, what's his name again? Oh, it's Adolphe. Yikes! And they're walking by, they're cheering, like, everyone's plotting against them. It's one of those dance movies, you know? Where, like, everyone in the fucking world is obsessed with this one thing more than anything. The fucking military comes in, the general, Mr. like, what was it, the president? It would be King still, wouldn't it? I don't know. El Francioso Grande shows up and says, you done did good, kid. Here's a fucking medal. Like, everyone in the world just gives too much of a shit about the fucking saxophone right now.
So the two bands, there's one, they were playing the same song, or same set, whatever. One of them was using traditional instruments, and the other was armed with a bunch of fucking saxophones.
Okay.
So Sax wins. He finally gets a win. So the music cabal is fucking furious. They are chomping their cigars. They're grabbing, like, the little imp guys by the neck, telling them to go out and get whatever, you know, get him some fucking ashtrays.
Why are you wearing his merchandise?
I just think it's neat. It just says, I'm just here for the sax. And it's Adolphe Sax with, like, some sunglasses holding the fucking. So they're okay. So they're slammed, you know, they're all, you know, they're like ringing their fingers on the desk, really fucking mad. They're furious that a Belgian and not a Frenchman won the contract. It's like, okay, all right, we're gonna form the United Association of Instrument Makers, aka seething about Adolphe Sax.
Okay, it's the Butthurt Committee.
So this organization, this Kaiba Corp, their whole goal is to fuck Adolphe Sax over as much as they can.
What else is going on in the world right now? Why is this so important?
Listen, the War of 1812 is over. It's the swinging 30s, dude. We got nothing going wrong. It's not like the French Revolution is going to happen in like 15 years.
Okay.
So here's some of the tactics that the music cabal tried doing as the association to try and stop Sax. So the first one is actually my favorite. They tried suing him to say the saxophone didn't actually exist.
What?
Remember, their goal isn't like, if they get him to stop playing, awesome. But their main goal is to just waste his time, money, and resources. Because they have the combined pool of like 5 or 6 people. He's just one dude. So they tried suing him. He's just like, literally just walks into court like, I got it right here. Boom, case dismissed. So I'm like, okay. Sure, the saxophone exists, but you stole the concept from outside countries. So they come in and they're like showing off like, here's, from outside of Belgium and France, here's a few of these things that are nearly identical to the saxophone. So it turns out the cabal had just bought Sax's own instruments, shipped them off to these other countries, and then over there, their connections would just scrub the production info and serial number off and then put on new ones. And like Sax immediately was like, no, this is mine. This is literally just mine. This is the exact model. So they lost that one too.
Okay. Again, I have to ask, what the fuck else is going on? Why are these guys this... Okay, so you ever see South Park, where in one of the newer episodes where Eric... like, all right, Token. He like frames Token for like 20 different crimes just so he can let Token, to force Token to make him maybe able to copy him. And Token's like, so he did all of this instead of just actually study. Literally, like they did all of this instead of just make a new fucking flute.
Like they were really bad at it, and this dude was really good, and they already burned all their bridges. So they're like, oh, okay, all right. So let's go to tactic number 3. Because you see an escalation between 3 and 5. So they claim, okay. So now they get like, they send their imps to go and study the law books and try and find something they can get them on. Like, aha. So since Sax played the saxophone in public, he couldn't patent it anymore since it's been publicly announced and used. Turns out that doesn't, the judge just dismissed that. He's like, it doesn't matter. That's not, you're wrong. So I lost that one. So they go, okay, back to the drawing board. They try to burn his store down.
Oh, okay.
And then that doesn't work because Sax is just fucking unkillable. So then they go number 5, and someone just pulls a gun out and shoots one of his assistants thinking it's Sax. So they just murder a man, go, whoops, that wasn't the right one. So Sax is like, okay. After the assistant dies out, he's just like, okay, fuck, okay, fine, all right, tell you what. I will withdraw my application for the patent for a saxophone for 1 year. If anyone could produce a saxophone of similar quality, you can take that patent for yourself. So the cabal's like, oh. They're scrambling, trying to make their own instrument to present them. And I can only imagine how shitty they are, like a drum with a bunch of holes drilled into it, hit with like a fucking piece of bread.
He's got a little crank trying to make it fucking work.
He's got a crank attached to a pan flute. A fucking guitar where the frets are like mouth holes and the center hole is just plugged with a bunch of cheese. Or a cymbal that they fold in half. They play it like a pan flute.
He's got the thing from Fairly Odd Parents, the electric triangle.
So yeah, Sax after 1 year just comes in, reapplies for the patent, and immediately gets approved. Because the court at this point is like, you know what? Fuck these guys. Here you go. All right, we're Gucci now. So he gets it. They have to give out
how to make a saxophone
because they're French. They are Eric Cartman in this scenario, Alex. You were 100% right in that. They will do all of this rather than just make a better instrument. So, 1848 comes around and the French Revolution happens. King Louis Philippe? I don't know. Listen, I'm not a French scientist. So that king has to flee the country. And Adolphe loses all of his powerful friends and connections. Yes, the anti-Flash caused the French Revolution just to stop this man from selling saxophones.
The reverse Flash, you mean?
I'm sure the anti-Flash is a character, too.
I don't fucking know.
So, This could not have come at a better time for the United Association of Instrument Makers, aka seething about Adolf. So with Adolf's friends gone, Music Cabal is able to get his military contract canceled and his patents for a bunch of stuff, not the saxophone, because they can't touch that one anymore, but they get a bunch of his other instruments, they get the patents revoked.
Everything is falling to pieces and this is what they care about.
Listen, some things are more important than others. Literally, kings and duchesses and shit are getting their heads cut off, but we can't let him sell clarinets. So with those patents free, the association is able to take these patents and make their shitty, low-quality, great value brand versions and, like, undercut them, because now he can't sell to the government anymore. So, like, he'll make a really good, flute.
Fucking clarinets and saxophone.
There's a reason the French Revolution happened, Alex.
Hey guys, we need to budget our military spending for this quarter. What are we gonna do? Well, we need at least 5,000 for those clarinets. Ah, yes, of course.
What is our piccolo looking like right now? 13,000? Seems about right.
They go, no wonder they lost the War of 1812 to Russia. Napoleon walks in there with a bunch of fucking clarinets.
He comes in like one of those one-man band. He's at the fucking entire front line is all just playing them.
They go
Someone who's got like the shittiest is using the fucking one of their fucking drums with a piece of bread.
He got a fucking Smolensk. He's like, all right, electric triangle, you're on. He fucking hits the thing and just explodes.
Just leaves his shoes. So Adolphe Sax, like, it's going downhill for him. He's lost pretty much everything. And for 5 years, they not only, he's fighting these things, fighting them, but he keeps losing in the courts, keeps losing. Until eventually, 5 years later, he finally gets a win. And the judge is like, wow, what a bunch of pricks. And he orders the association, they're forced to give back the patents and pay him for the past 5 years of legal fees and damages.
Ooh.
Which just means he comes out neutral.
I mean, it's better to be in the pits.
He goes from thousands of francs in debt to 0. So, I mean, hey, there you go, I guess. So, now Napoleon III, who is the cousin of, like, Napoleon I, I don't know how he becomes the third if he's just the cousin.
You don't have to be directly related to have the name carry over like that. As long as you're in the family and you're named like Napoleon again, you can be the third or the fourth or the fifth.
So, Adolphe Sax is like an up and down, up and down, up and down. He's down to 0. He was all the way down. He was in, debt. But Napoleon III takes over after the revolution. He's like, hey guys, listen, I'll fix this. And so Adolphe Sax, he's like, hey, I heard you make good instruments. So he gets a sweet gig supplying the army with his music again. Because Napoleon, of course, still, primary motive of the country is to make sure that you have enough fucking clarinets for your army. So Adolf's back on top. The Cabal has kind of backed off. They've been forced to kind of stop fucking with them as much. And then he gets face cancer.
Oh.
So he gets this black tumor on his lip that grows and grows until he can't eat or drink without intense pain. He has to feed himself with a tube.
Why hasn't he just attempted to cut it off with like a sword?
Well, see, I mean, I'll get to that in a second. Okay. But first, his son Charles dies. His first son. So Sax is back down. He has 2 options. It's the middle of the 1800s. So he can either do the highly sanitary, roll the dice and have him cut it off his face. And he decides, oh, fuck that. So he meets an ancient Indian medicine man named Rees.
Okay.
And he gives him some, like, snake oil treatment. And it fucking works.
What?
The cancer goes away. After, like, 4 months of using this snake oil, it's gone. So now Adolphe Sax is finally kind of at the end of his life. And he writes this huge letter just shitting on everyone who had been trying to ruin his life the whole time. This is my favorite segment from it. I'm proud to say the music instrument industry was nothing in France. I created this industry. I carried it to an unrivaled height. And above all, it is my counterfeiters who have profited from my work. So he put this in there, in this, like, every newspaper he could to just turn everyone against the association that they could.
Okay.
So it didn't work entirely, but What remained of his friends and other well-known musicians read the article were like, whoa, that's bullshit. And so they petitioned the government to give him a retirement pension. So that got approved, so he was able to retire in comfort, and, he got, for all of his work, he got, here's a stipend every year for yada, yada, yada. Because he just didn't have that before.
Oh, okay.
So, on February 9th, 1984, or February 7th, it depends on who you ask, he passes away from pneumonia. So to quote the New York Tribune obituary, Paris, February 9th, Antoine Joseph Adolphe Sax dies from pneumonia here today in absolute poverty. I don't know why they added those last two lines. That's kind of savage, dude. So, in the end, Sax did end up getting a recognition in some form. He was on the 200 Belgium franc. Like, he was on the dollar bill for that.
But he just made a fucking instrument.
He made many, many instruments, and it was very important to, like, the development of music in, like, Belgium doesn't have a lot of people, Alex, that have done good things. So they're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. Just let them have this one, Alex. But the 200 franc was only in circulation from 94 to 2002 when the euro was adopted. So, I mean, I guess he was also on a Google Doodle in 2015. So that's all you get for your life is suffering. You get to be on a dollar bill for fucking 8 years, and then you're on Google.
I mean, hey.
Congratulations, Adolphe. You survived.
But hey, we have his story, and we still have his saxophone, which is still a pretty sick-ass instrument.
Yeah, the big thing about the saxophone was that it was like, there was a gap between the woodwind and the brass instruments, that there was nothing that was like between there. There was woodwind, and then there was brass. There was trumpets, and there was fucking flutes. That's all you got. The closest you had was a clarinet, which is why he started, making clarinets, improving them, making them sound better. Then he's eventually like, oh, well, fuck this. I need some, let's go from the brass instead of the wood, see what I can do from there. And then that's how, he kind of got the saxophone going. So, yeah, I did not, all I knew about this guy was like, oh, he survived death like 6 times. That's crazy. And then it just kept going and kept going.
Fucking Christ, what a legend.
Adolphe Sax. Not that Adolphe. He was a cool guy. All right, you can find the podcast on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify. We have a website in the description. There's a Discord in the description and a Patreon in the description, and probably some other stuff that I forgot about, but it's all in the description. You can just go there. Is there anything you want to say about this Yu-Gi-Oh world of the French Revolution?
I have the mental fucking image. They're just marching down to go fight a bunch of enemies. Alright, trombones, go!
Oh, speaking of war, Adolphe Sax also invented the Saxocannon, which was a trebuchet that could launch like a 50-ton mortar.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, can I get a repeat on that title?
The Saxocannon. There's a reward for all the people who listened past the end plugs. That's what you get. You get a fucking Saxocannon.
What?
You will be spared from the Saxocannon's wrath.
What a fucking legend.
Legendary. Okay, thanks for listening. Bye.